Okay, so when I look at the stuff that people usually struggle with when it comes to webhooks, I would say the top of that list would be how do I send rich response messages from my webhook code? And the fact that the the Dialogflow has moved from version V1 to V2, and the corresponding fields have changed, and some of the stuff which you need to generate in the webhook for to get the right JSON, since some of that has also changed, I think that kind of adds to a bit of the confusion because there's still a lot of stuff pointing to V1 like around the web, and sometimes people get confused because of that also. So in this video, what I'm going to show you is a really neat hack and an important tip that you need to use to make this hack that I'm talking about to make it work. Okay, so let's say that you're interested in sending quick replies, which are those buttons that you click in Facebook Messenger, and you want to show that that's the type of message object you want to send from your webhook code, right? So we are interested right now not in writing the actual code, as you know, but in getting the correct JSON, because once you understand how to do that, then the question of writing your code to generate the same JSON is a lot simpler. So what I'm going to do is I'm back into this agent of mine, this test agent. So I'm just going to call this FB quick replies. It doesn't matter what you call the intent, of course. So I just need a trigger phrase. So I'm going to say show Facebook quick reply. So that is going to be the training phrase that I'm going to use to trigger this intent to trigger this intent, basically to make this show up. So what I'll also do is add this Facebook Messenger response, and I'm going to make this don't use the response from the default tab, add responses, quick replies, and let's say choose an option, yes, no, and let's add one, maybe. So the moment I do this and I save this particular intent, so what I've done is I've just created a dummy intent which I use to trigger the response, which will show me this quick replies on Facebook Messenger. Now the important thing is you can actually use this for any message object type on any channel. You can maybe do the same for Slack or Telegram or whatever, and you can do that for any type of rich message object. So what I'll do is first I'll say show Facebook quick reply into the simulator, and you can see that it's come back with the with kind of the interface that you're expecting. So what you do next is you click on this diagnostic info, and here what I want you to do is copy everything which is inside the fulfillment messages field. So to make sure that you don't make any mistake, you can just collapse it and copy the whole thing. Make sure you don't copy the comma here, and go back to your console over here. And what I want you to do is delete all the stuff. And of course, you have to make sure that you still have these flower brackets, because that's sort of the container for all the information which is coming back. And I'm just going to paste it right here like that. Now, here's the tip that I was talking about, and this is an important thing because otherwise it will not work. You just have to fill in this this text field here you have. Remember that it was empty before I typed this in. You just have to type in something, some string into this text field over here. If I don't do that, for whatever reason, Dialogflow is not able to capture this response and it crashes. So I'm not able to show it doesn't work basically. So let's go ahead and save this, right? So just to recap, what I did was I created an intent which will generate the response, the rich response that I wanted, and I triggered that intent. I took a look at the diagnostic info pop-up. I copied everything which is inside this fulfillment messages field and excluded the comma, of course, and came into my mockable services editor, the response editor, and I pasted everything right in. And of course, I had to put it inside these two flower brackets here. And After I did the paste, I made sure that this text has some value. It will be empty by default. You have to make sure that it has some value and then just save that response. So let's go back here. Now, the intent that actually is going to be calling the webhook, as you know, that is the one which is connected to the webhook, is this one which is the default welcome intent. So if I were to trigger the default welcome intent, let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, there you go. This is what you get. You got this Facebook Messenger response, and then the default response will be this dummy text. And you know that this is coming back from the webhook because if you click on this diagnostic info, you can see stuff like webhook execution successful, and you get all these other tabs, which is like this is the specific fulfillment response coming back and so on. So that's your little hack to get any rich response JSON working for your webhook code. So now that you have defined the JSON in this particular format, so every time you want to create like a response from your code, and you want to make sure that the response works properly on the specific channel that you're interested in, this is a good tip that you can use. You just go to this console, you just go to this mockable.io response editor and paste in this fulfillment messages field. That is, before that, of course, you have to make sure that you hard code or statically generate the same response from Dialogflow itself. And once you've done that, you paste it into the JSON and make sure that it comes back in the right response. And once you get it working with just this way, like by just statically sending back some response from your webhook, and remember that it's still like something which is coming back from like an external server, right? When I type hello into the Dialogflow simulator, the response that I'm getting is something coming from an external server, which means that when you get this end-to-end working, all that is left to do, although I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's definitely straightforward, all that's left to do is you have to get the same response generated through the programming language that you're going to be using, and then you're good to go.